Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So on today's series, we are going to continue with our .NETMAUi series for pushing data from our app through an API to our database. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching some of our previous videos. So on today's series, as you can see on our app, we have the employee, that is the home. We have the dashboard. So we will be going to design our dashboard on our next series. So if you come to employees, we have the data grid. So you can see this data grid is a bit, if we save an employee, we have an employee form that is a bit long, where you can actually select the country, the constituencies, going up to saving the employee photo and saving the data. So today I want to demonstrate something. As you can see on our screen, on the countries list, if we create a new country, we say UG, then Uganda, then we save this data. We can create, like, say another country, MW, Malawi. Can create another one, let's say GH, Ghana. So if you can see on our screen, we have our data. We are actually using a collection view. So, but we want to use, if we want to change this to a data grid, which actually looks better, I want us to go through how we can actually convert this from a collection view to actually using a data grid. So if you're new to this channel, consider watching some of our previous videos on how we have created this whole app from a new app, doing the data push from our app through an API to a server, then up to where we are. So you can also comment down below in case you have anything that you want us to do so that you can be able to see. So we have the sync data where on our previous videos, we uploaded the country's data, the constituencies data, the location data through an API to our database. As you can see, we have some data on constituencies, we have some data on the countries. So you can see all these data are coming from our app through these API that we have actually developed. So on our app, I want us to now work on some of the UI aspect from our app. So today, let's begin by actually changing our app from using the collection view to now using a data grid. So on this code, let's start by going directly to the code. So on the code, come to our countries section. So this is our country. We have the countries list XAML. But before we do that, I want us to install a certain nugget. So come to our app, right click it, then manage nuggets. Then I want us to install say MAUi.DataGrid. So it will give us a data grid, some of the nuggets. I want us to use these Google MAUi.DataGrid. So install that nugget. So let's see how it will go. Accept. So it will. You should be able to see an icon here, a blue one, or we can actually check on our. Yes, you can see it has actually ticked this one, green one. So that means our nugget is already installed. So if you browse also, you'll be able to see this nugget here. So after we have done that, let's go to our XAML, that is the countries list. So as you can see, we are using a collection view. So this is our collection view, but I want us to change something. So at the top here, first you can change this to, I want us to change, so we can actually come at the top here. I want us to create a grid. So we'll first have as a scroll view. Let's say this is a scroll view. You can close this. Then inside the scroll view, you can create a grid. Then we say the row definitions. Let's put this to 70. Then can say star. Then I want us to close that grid. Then inside the grid, we can have our search bar. So you can copy this search bar, we paste it inside here. So we want to redesign this now. So these we can have these, we can specify the grid row for this search bar. So you'll say grid dot row, dot row is equals to 0. So that is our first row. Then down here, I want us to do something. We do dg dot DataGrid. Then we need to close this. But you can see it will need us to import something. So we need to now import our, we need now to import, this should be full colon, sorry. Yeah, so that is it. We need now to import the data, the nuggets that we have actually installed. So at the top here, we can say, then we specify dg, then we say this is coming from, this is equals to, then say cl res. So I want us to use the DataGrid. I'm trying to get the namespace. So I'll just do that. If it's not importing, then I'll do full colon MAUi DataGrid. So this is the one I'm looking for. So we're actually importing this DataGrid and we have it already installed. So you can see this is now fine. It is referencing now our MAUi DataGrid, a DataGrid. So inside this DataGrid, I want us to create the grid row. So we can first say the grid row. So inside here, before closing, we'll define the grid. So we'll say grid.row. Remember our search is row 0, so this will be row 1. Then we need to specify our item source. So we'll say item source. So we'll use now what we were using on our collection view. Then we copy this here. Then we have it here. Then we can specify the selection mode. Selection enabled should be true. We want to be selecting the data. Then selection item. This is the item. If it is clicked, which item should be selected. So I think we have not defined that. We'll be able to define that on our next video. So let's just begin with the is refreshing. We can say, we can put this to false. We can also say, or we can just have this to true. Then we can also, another thing is row height. We can set the row height. So you can say this is 70. We can also specify the border color. So we can specify this to be gray, light gray. We can also, so this is the border color that is separating some of our borders. Then header, background, you can have these as let's specify a color, chocolate, yeah. Then we can also specify the active row color, the row that has been selected. So you can give that as a green yellow, something like that. Then after we have done that, so this is, we close this. Then we need now to specify the columns. So below here we will say dg, then we specify the data grid. So data grid, then we say dot columns. Then we need to close this. So inside the columns, we can say, we now specify the specific columns. So we'll say dg, then data grid column now. That is the column that you want to be. So then we'll have the property name. So that is the name of the data that we want to pull. So it will be actually this. So we'll So we don't do binding code, but we do just code. So we'll just specify as code. Then inside the data grid, we need to specify the title. So we'll actually close this. Then inside it of the column, we'll say DG, then data grid column, then we say dot format title. So the title that we want. Then inside we also do format. So we'll say format string. Then we close it. Then we now specify the title. So we'll say font size. Can specify the font size as 14. Then I can have the text now of the, so our text will be the code. So we'll name this as the country code. Then we can specify the text color. So the text color should be, let's say, white. Then we can also specify the font attributes. This should be bold. So after you have done that, we need to close this. So we'll close that. So this is our first column. So from here to here is our first column. So to specify another column, we can copy now this block of code from here. So you can see the columns, everything inside the columns is a column. So we'll just copy this. So this is the first column. So this is the first column, and this is the second column. So for the second column, we want to specify the name. So we'll just copy on the property name, we specify the name. Then the code is the country name, that is the label. So that is it. So we need to do away with our collection view here. We are actually left now with our data grid. So we have the country code and the country name and all others. So we can also specify that the mode here is two-way. That is it. So we can try launching our app to see if there is anything, if everything is fine, or we need to do something different. So I launch our app, we see how our app looks like. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and watching some of our previous videos on .NET MAUI app that we are doing for the continuation of this series. So we now are making some UI changes on our app that we have been building now. This is day 25 of our challenge. So let's see how our app will look. So our app is launching. Let's see how it will look like. So that is it. So if we come to our countries, you expect to see something unique. As you can see, we have the grid and it's actually trying to refresh. So we can switch off our refreshing. So we say this is false. Then our header, border header is not showing. So text color. So we had said the text color, you can have the background color. So you can see on our app, we have the TZ, but the background color is not showing. So you can have these as you can try to change these so that you're able to see. So you can have these as white. Then on the columns, we need to specify the columns. So this is the columns header. Then the text, we can have this as black. Can change that as black so that it's visible. So if we save it, let's try to it's refreshing, still not showing. So we need to specify the So let's see our app if it has changed. We just change the color to black. So if we come to countries, you can see there is nothing going on. So we have to change something. So if you come to our columns, after our columns here, we left something. So down here, we need to specify the rows background color. So we'll say DG, then we say DataGrid, then rows background color palette, then we close that. Then we also say DG, then palette collection. Then inside the collection, you can now say color. Then I want us to specify the color. So we can specify here as white. You can also specify, we copy these also here, and we specify as gray. So that is it. Then after the background color palette, down here before the data grid, I want us to specify DG, then we say data grid, then resources, any resource that we may want to use. So we'll say resource dictionary, then we can close that. Then we can actually leave it as it is. So if we stop our app, everything should be fine. So this is it. So if we launch our app again, let's see if everything will work. So there we are, our app is launching. So if we come to DataGrid countries, you can see this is how it looks. So let's change this to light gray. So that is it. Let's see how it looks. You can also have these as, you can just have it as white. Let's have it as light gray. Let's relaunch our app. Light gray. So we launch our app again. So let's go to countries. You can see this is how it looks. So our first country is Tanzania, Malawi. So there is something we need to check on our columns. So our columns are not displaying. So we need to check something on our app. So something that is not working is there's something we missed here. So you need to specify the header height to 50, so that we have our labels. That is the headers actually displaying. So if we just run, so this is what we need to have. So everything looks okay the way we had done. Data collection palettes, data grid, column, the name. So here we can say country code, and this is country name. So the only thing that we missed out on our definition is the header height. That's why our height was not displaying. So if we just try to run this again, then our data grid should be fine with all the. So if we come to our countries, you should be able to see, you can see our code name. Now our data is not there. So we need to see why. So if we come there, then we say, so our color code can say this is white. Then this should be. So let's see. So this is actually black. Then we can change this to yes. Let's have this to white. We see. Let's also have this to white. So if we save that, that is our at the top. So let's refresh our app and see. So there is something also wrong with our so if we come to our DataGrid countries, so this is displaying, but our data is not there. And as you can see, we have some grid. So is the color of our labels. Not really the colors. I think we missed something here. This will be code. I change this. This should be. We should change here. This will be country name. This should be country code. So the property name is the field from the database. Should be name code. Then the text is the country code and the name. So if we do that, let's relaunch our app. So you should get the property name is the name and this is the code. So let's see if it finds. So if this works, then we can actually replicate this to all our data grids. So if you come to countries, there we are. So I think our app is now fine. You can see the country code, the country name, and the rest. So if we click here and save, we say testing. Then here we say testing. Then we save. We should have, you can see, this is how now our app looks like. So I think we can now copy this to all our data grids. So I'll just copy this, copy that, come to our constituencies list. Down here, I'll paste this, then replace our item source, then search here constituency. Then this is the code and the name, then this is constituency name. So you'll say this constituency code and the constituency name. Then anything that we need to change and nothing. So I'll just do away with this. And also we need to import this. So if we just hover here, if it's not working, we can copy it from here. We need to copy this namespace. Come to our constituencies list, XAML, then paste this here. So if we launch our app, we should be able to see the constituency data grid working. So let's see that. So come to constituencies. You can see the constituency code and the constituency name. Do you have any? We can save one we see. Select the country. Then we say NA, say Nairobi. So if we save that, we can see we have our constituency name. We can save another one. Say MB, Mombasa. If we save that, you can see our grid is fine. So we can also copy these for locations. Come to our locations view. Then we paste it here. Then you need to copy the sublocations. Then we say sublocations. Then we need to select the sublocations here. Then we can say this is so we have the code and the name. Then this is a location code. This is sublocation. So we can do sublocation code, then sublocation name. Then we can do away with these. So if we refresh our app, we should have our sublocations. So we can also have our namespace. Sorry, should be under sublocations. So we need to paste this here. We didn't copy, so I can paste this here. So then if I do that, then if I run the app, we should be able to see our sublocations with the DataGrid. So if we do that, come to sublocations, you can see we have our sublocations name. So that is it, guys, on how you can use our the DataGrid. So this is how you can use the DataGrid in NETMAUI. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. For those returning subscribers, watch the video, like, comment, and share. See you in our next series.